Why, hello there. I did not see you come in. Welcome to my classroom. Now, today, we are going to be talking about the French and Indian War that ran from 1754 to 1763. Let us begin.
The French and Indian War started when General George Washington mistook a French and native peace conference for hostility. Watch as General George Washington stalks his elusive prey. Look at him, sitting, watching, waiting. George Washington then spurred on his troops to attack, and then they killed many native and French people, resulting in anger from both sides. After official declarations of war were made, the first major battle was the Battle of Fort Necessity. George Washington led the English troops here, but was taken by surprise by the native forces. They were able to light the fort on fire, forcing the British out and humiliating the British commanders. The Indians and the French were able to win because of their superior tactics. Using guerrilla warfare in the woods and various other areas, they were able to catch the British unawares, as their military expert will explain.
Okay, so the question was, how did the French tactics differ? And in the early stages of the war, the French and the English both had these kind of rules of warfare that they had to abide by, where they would each march into war together and fire in their orderly lines. And the French actually began winning the war in the very early stages, the first couple of years, which in reality they never should have, because the English were a much greater military force. And so the French were able to win the war by adapting some of their allies' tactics of guerrilla warfare, ambushing the English from behind the trees, surprise attacks, and it just kind of threw the British forces into disarray because they didn't know how to fight this kind of war, and so they would just basically turn around and run away and flee because they didn't know how to fight against an enemy that was not in these orderly lines.
The British, observing these tactics by the natives, came up with a plan. Their plan? Get hired help. They joined forces with the Iroquois tribe to fight the French and the natives on their own terms. Before long, the British turned the tide against their French and Indian enemies, resulting in victories and eventually the Treaty of Paris, which ended the conflict. The lessons George Washington learned from the natives would later be applied in the American Revolution.
So in conclusion, the French and Indian War may have been a brutal conflict for territorial gains for the English, but it sets the stage for the colonial era in the United States, which we will be covering next time.